es una situación de miedo, ¿no? De un miedo que ha paralizado a la mayoría de la población.
Friday, Nicholas Quetz was traveling with friends down to Rocky Point when suddenly a vehicle with armed men drove by and opened fire.
Friday night in Lagos de Moreno. 5 friends vanish, held by a brutal cartel. They made phone calls which sounded normal, like any other day. But what happened next shocked a nation and exposed the brutal reality of cartel violence. Here are cartel victims' final phone calls before brutal murder.
News about the shooting of 2 Americans south of the U.S. border in Mexico. One immigration and customs enforcement agent killed, another wounded.
February 15th, 2011. Special Agent Victor Avila and Jaime Zapata were driving down Mexico's Highway 57. Suddenly, 2 SUVs began aggressively tailing them. The agents realized, far too late, that the Zetas drug cartel was about to strike. Jaime Zapata, born in Brownsville, Texas, was just 32. He'd served with Homeland Security investigations focusing on human smuggling and trafficking. Zapata was the second U.S. federal agent murdered in Mexico since 1985, highlighting the escalating danger in the drug war. Both agents were traveling in a U.S. government-issued armored Chevrolet Suburban, clearly identified with diplomatic plates. They'd been dispatched on official business from Laredo, Texas to Mexico City. The route should have been secure, but the Zetas had other plans. As the cartel vehicles flanked them, one containing up to 15 armed men, the agents tried to identify themselves as U.S. diplomats. Zapata hoped revealing their status would buy time or mercy. Instead, the Zetas responded by ramming their SUV off the road. The armored vehicle was designed to protect, but it had one fatal flaw. When placed in park, the doors automatically unlocked. In the chaos, one agent accidentally lowered the window just 2 inches. A tiny vulnerability the attackers exploited. As Victor Avila later recounted, "He told me that he was going to die." Those were some of Jaime Zapata's final words when the cartel opened fire. The Zetas showed no hesitation or respect for diplomatic immunity. Instead, they unleashed a barrage of bullets at point-blank range.
Targeted by the notorious Zetas drug cartel, 2 Homeland Security agents were under fire inside this armored SUV on Mexico's Highway 57.
Avila struggled to keep his partner alert, slapping and shaking Zapata to keep him conscious. Despite being gravely wounded himself, Avila managed to drag his bullet-riddled body back into the battered Suburban and call for help. The cartel fled, leaving behind approximately 90 shell casings. Responding Mexican authorities arrived quickly, but it was too late for Zapata. The 3 fatal gunshots had done their work. The 32-year-old agent died before he could receive medical attention. The immediate aftermath launched one of the largest investigations in U.S.-Mexico cooperation history. The Zetas gunmen quickly discovered they'd attacked U.S. federal agents instead of rival cartel members, escalating the international response.
Mexican authorities fear the U.S. agents were targeted as they drove their armored SUV along a remote stretch of highway.
A key piece of evidence soon emerged. The weapons used in the ambush had been purchased in Dallas, Texas. This revelation tied the murders directly to the ongoing debate about U.S. gun trafficking feeding cartel violence in Mexico. The investigation uncovered glaring evidence of systemic failures. Internal government documents revealed an explicit State Department travel warning prohibiting the route taken, a warning supervisors ignored. This smoking gun showed bureaucratic negligence played a role in the tragedy. Zapata's murder sparked immediate outrage. President Felipe Calderón of Mexico vowed to work more closely with the U.S., and President Barack Obama pledged to bring the attackers to justice. The United States offered a $5 million reward for information leading to the killers. The Zetas cartel miscalculated badly. Killing a U.S. federal agent brought the full weight of both governments. In the following months, every member involved in the attack was captured, including Jesus Enrique Rejon Aguilar, then the 3rd most powerful Zetas leader. The case led to new security protocols and closer U.S.-Mexico coordination. On a personal level, Zapata's death devastated his close-knit law enforcement family. His 4 brothers also worked in criminal justice. His final phone call wasn't dramatic, it was routine. A check into his field office confirming the route, the time, the plan. The kind of call every agent makes hundreds of times. No tension in his voice, no fear. No hint that seconds later he would be trapped between cartel SUVs, dialing fate without knowing it. For his family and colleagues, that ordinary call became the cruelest kind of goodbye. The one no one realized was goodbye at all. Victor Avila survived, but carried physical and emotional scars. His testimony brought the killers to justice, but also exposed deep flaws in agency operations and accountability. The armored vehicle's design flaw, doors unlocking in park, and supervisors' decision to ignore travel warnings became stark examples of systemic failure. In Mexico and Texas, memorials now bear Jaime Zapata's name. His sacrifice became a turning point in the fight against organized crime and an enduring warning about complacency in the face of cartel violence. The Zetas intended to steal a vehicle, but instead triggered an international manhunt that dismantled their operations. But even as justice was served, the senseless loss of a dedicated agent like Jaime Zapata remains a stark reminder. No one is safe from cartel violence, not even those sworn to stop it.
On Friday, Nicholas Quetz was traveling with friends down to Rocky Point when suddenly a vehicle with armed men drove by and opened fire.
October 18, 2024. Nicholas Quetz, a 31-year-old U.S. Marine veteran, was driving toward the beach resort of Puerto Peñasco with two friends. They didn't see the cartel checkpoint until it was too late. Nicholas Quetz was a protector by nature. After serving in the Marine Corps, he returned home to Tucson, Arizona, a city of familiar streets and family memories. The Quetz family's 100-year military legacy runs deep. Nicholas was following in his father's and grandfather's footsteps, proud of the uniform he wore and its history. He'd planned this trip to Rocky Point, a favorite beach getaway spot on the Mexican side of the border. It was supposed to be a simple weekend with friends. Nicholas was always careful, aware of the dangers lurking on those desert highways, but nothing could have prepared him for what waited that October night. As they passed Altar, his car approached a checkpoint run by cartel gunmen. Nicholas slowed, trying to judge the situation, but within moments, 3 vehicles boxed them in. Witness accounts and surveillance footage recovered later revealed the cold precision of what followed. Quetz's vehicle was sprayed with gunfire at close range. He was struck in the back, the bullet tearing through his heart. The attack was calculated. No warning, no chance to surrender.
He was shot directly in the back by cowards and shot in the heart. We believe, we're hopeful that because he was in a fight or flight situation, he didn't suffer very much.
His 2 friends barely escaped. One dragged Nicholas from behind the wheel as the attackers closed in, and another called for help. The cartel crew searched the car for valuables before vanishing into the dark. The death wasn't random. Mexican authorities quickly linked the checkpoint to Los Chapitos, a brutal faction of the Sinaloa cartel specializing in extortion and kidnapping along the U.S.-Mexico border. These same groups control the corridor between Altar and Caborca. Just hours before the murder, Quetz had called his father. The conversation was routine. He talked about the week ahead, plans to see old Marine friends, and how much he missed his family. The last message Nicholas left his family was, "I'll see you soon, Dad." Those words now hold a weight no one in his family was prepared for. A casual promise, made with confidence, spoken with love, and frozen forever in time. The kind of simple message every parent hears. Except this time, it was an ending. For his father, that sentence is no longer small talk. It's the final echo of a voice he'll never hear again. The cartel checkpoint attack wasn't just targeting Quetz for his American citizenship. It was about sending a message. The Los Chapitos crew controlling that route had grown emboldened in recent months, attacking multiple U.S. travelers and local Mexican drivers. What happened next shocked even seasoned investigators in Sonora. Before Mexican authorities could close the checkpoint, key cartel suspects were killed in retaliatory shootouts with security forces, allegedly by rival factions or to prevent them from talking. The remaining suspects scattered across state lines, vanishing into Sinaloa's labyrinth of safe houses. But this time, American authorities paid close attention. The U.S. Treasury Department moved quickly, sanctioning Los Chapitos' financial networks and targeting their business interests in Sonora. Pressure from both governments mounted. The Quetz family's grief turned to public action. Nicholas's parents demanded justice, not just for their son, but for all victims of cartel checkpoints. Their voices echoed across military networks, law enforcement communities, and veterans groups. The pressure campaign caught the attention of federal officials on both sides of the border.
I feel like my information should come from my government.
Warren Quetz is Nicholas's father. He hopes those suspects are indeed the men responsible for his son's death, but until he receives intel from our government, he isn't taking comfort in the news.
Despite fears of retaliation, Nicholas's loved ones refused to back down. They organized memorial scholarships, spoke with U.S. officials, and kept speaking his name in public, ensuring his story wouldn't become just another statistic. The investigation continues, with Los Chapitos now facing unprecedented scrutiny and financial targeting. Nicholas's murder became a rallying cry, a vivid example of why the U.S. government cracked down on cartel checkpoints along major tourist routes. His last call to his father echoes now more than ever, a reminder of what's at stake on those desert roads. What began as a routine trip became a turning point in the fight against cartel checkpoints. But if you think this story ends here, wait until you hear the next call, an emotional last statement that will leave you shaking.
And that's when Shaheed said, "I love y'all, I'm gone." And he died right there.
March 3rd, 2023. The city of Matamoros had just turned from ordinary to terrifying. What should have been a routine medical trip across the border would now become headline news. The four friends driving into Mexico had no idea they'd just entered cartel territory. Shade Woodard was 33. He wasn't a hardened criminal. He was someone who traveled with friends from North Carolina. Along with Latavia Washington McGee, Eric Williams, and Zindell Brown, Shade set out for a simple cosmetic procedure. This was routine. Cross the border, pay less for medical care, come home. Many Americans did it. But this time, cartel violence would change everything. They barely had time to realize what was happening. As their white minivan crossed into Matamoros, danger was waiting. A car began following. Zindell, in the back, suddenly noticed a gun. "Don't stop," he warned, moments before the ambush. Gunfire erupted, chaos started, and the nightmare began. Bullets ripped through the minivan. Zindell and Shaheed tried to flee but were gunned down. Eric was shot in both legs. Latavia was forced at gunpoint into the back of a pickup truck. The others were dragged, some barely alive. A Mexican bystander caught in the gunfire became collateral damage. An innocent life lost in the crossfire. The American group, now seriously wounded, was forced into captivity as bystanders watched in horror. That chilling moment was caught on security cameras.
State officials haven't confirmed that any suspects are in custody. We're also learning a Mexican woman was killed as gunfire erupted.
They were quickly moved to a second location, a place where fear became constant. The cartel captors wore red plastic Diablo masks, guns pressed to heads, orders barked, every second fraught with dread. Then came the crude medical care. Eric's wounds from both his legs were stitched. No anesthesia, just raw pain. Shaheed was not so lucky. His life now counted in minutes. In that desperate moment, knowing time was running short, Shaheed spent his final breath thinking about the friends he'd tried to save. There, in the back of a cartel pickup truck, with wounds too severe to survive, Shaheed used his last strength for a final message.
And that's when Shaheed said, "I love y'all, I'm gone." And he died right there.
The recorded words from that final call still haunt anyone who hears them. Simple words, powerful meaning. The desperate farewell of someone who realized too late that his story was ending in cartel territory. By then, their situation was public knowledge. Cartel members showed Latavia viral footage of their own kidnapping on a phone, twisting the knife, making their suffering public. Strangely, that viral video gave Latavia hope. She realized people knew what happened, someone would come looking. However, hope was quickly replaced by terror. The cartel threatened sexual violence to break their spirits. Latavia, thinking fast, claimed to be pregnant and said Eric was her brother. Small tricks to buy time, hoping for rescue that still seemed impossible. The Gulf Cartel, facing immense law enforcement pressure, finally realized these were not rival drug runners. They were ordinary Americans caught in the wrong place at the worst possible time. In a bizarre PR move, the cartel issued an apology letter, blaming a bad call made by high and drunk members. 5 cartel members were delivered to authorities, but the damage was already done. For Shahid's family, those final phone call words will always echo, a plain warning: the cost of border medical tourism when cartel violence makes no distinction between criminals and tourists. 6 people have been arrested in connection with this tragedy, but justice remains elusive. This case forever changed how Americans view medical trips to Mexico. Some towns now known as cartel territory see far fewer visitors, friends hesitating before crossing, families wondering if cheaper care is worth the risk. Shahid Woodard's story serves as a stark warning. Even ordinary people can become cartel victims with one wrong turn. What happened after their release showed the true reach of modern drug cartels, and why even seemingly routine trips across the border now come with deadly risk. But if this ambush seems shocking, just wait until you see what happened when a local 19-year-old disappeared forever.
Es una situación de miedo, ¿no? De un miedo que ha paralizado a la mayoría de la población.
Even before Uriel Galvan Gonzalez's tragedy shook Lagos de Moreno, life in this tight-knit community was changing rapidly, but nothing the people faced before prepared them for what happened in August 2023. Uriel, just 19, was known for his boundless energy. His love for cycling, something his father passed down, was legendary in their family. He boxed with his friend Roberto and was always close to his parents. Like his friends, Uriel grew up surrounded by the creeping threat of cartel violence, but also surrounded by hope. Most days, Uriel could be found either on his bike or helping his family. His father described him as happy, friendly, and deeply connected to those he loved. He didn't answer his phone on the night he disappeared, a tiny detail that triggered immediate alarm for his family. That gut feeling would rapidly worsen. Friday evening started quietly and normally in Lagos de Moreno. Uriel and his childhood friends gathered at their usual spot, the San Miguel Lookout, laughing, sharing music, and planning for bright futures. These 5 had grown up together, bonded by years of friendship and shared dreams. That night, though, something felt different. After meeting at the lookout, the group sent a seemingly ordinary message at 10:55 p.m. saying they were heading home. Then, silence. As the hours passed with no word from Uriel or his friends, panic among the families grew. By Saturday morning, Uriel's vehicle was found neatly parked near the Archangel Parish, less than 200 feet from their familiar lookout spot. His keys weren't missing, no broken windows. Just one more detail in a puzzle that was about to reveal unthinkable horror. The families called constantly, their worry mounting with every unanswered ring. Uriel's father said simply, "We called him, and he didn't answer. It broke my heart." Meanwhile, the group's car, a distinctive brown Volkswagen Jetta, was found burning on the highway linking Lagos de Moreno and Encarnacion de Diaz. Even before authorities started putting together the cartel clues, the signs of foul play were unmistakable. That night confirmed every parent's worst fear. A video surfaced that would change everything. It began with 5 kneeling figures, duct-taped mouths, and beaten faces, but chillingly familiar clothing. At first, the footage seemed too horrible to comprehend. One of the 5 forced to stab a lifelong friend under visible cartel threats. This modern form of psychological torture, forcing victims to turn on each other, echoes other cartel atrocities nearly a decade earlier. In 2010, victims were forced to beat each other to death with sledgehammers, a pattern designed to shatter communities and spread lasting fear. Now, the CJNG brought that horror into the present. adapting and amplifying their methods. Uriel's disappearance was immediately linked to the fake job offer scheme. Calls for promising security work turned out to be cartel traps, designed to forcibly recruit young men into their ranks. The friends, unwilling to join CJ&G, paid the ultimate price for their refusal.
Yo te digo, he pasado noches sin dormir, llorando, porque me pueden, esos muchachos me pueden, las muchachas me pueden, todos los jóvenes, que la sociedad no se da cuenta que ya es de todo y por todo, o sea.
In the days after releasing the video, investigators scoured the area for clues. Bloodstains, abandoned shoes, and a grisly scene in rural farm buildings told the rest of the story. 4 burned and badly mutilated bodies were recovered from the suspected murder site, too damaged for immediate identification. Each grim detail confirmed what the families already feared. What makes Uriel's final moments so haunting aren't just the brutality of his death, it's the calculated evil behind forcing friends to betray each other, knowing it would break not just bodies, but spirits. The last known call from Uriel's phone shows only a brief, ordinary message. There was no warning, no last goodbye, just a simple text, heading home, echoing the normalcy that once defined their lives. As news spread, Lagos de Moreno's community changed forever. Where there was once trust and hope, now fear and suspicion filled daily life. Parents keep children close. Friends look over their shoulders. Even everyday activities, work, school, sports, feel different. Uriel wasn't just a victim. He was part of a generation caught in a war not of their making. His cycling group, his boxing friends, and his close-knit family now carry scars that may never heal. His final call reminds us how quickly normal life can turn tragic, and how real the threat remains in cartel territory. Yet, in their grief, Uriel's family and friends refuse to let fear win. They keep his memory alive, sharing stories of his happy spirit and fearless love for life. They support each other through unimaginable pain, standing together against those who would use terror to control communities. For Uriel and his friends, those final calls may have sounded ordinary, but what came next marks a line the community will never forget. In the quiet moments, though, his father's simple message echoes.
I would tell him that I love him, that I miss him so much.